Well, good morning and welcome to MAPS University workshop number 2. I can't believe that this is honestly happening. It is a pleasure, and I am super grateful for each and one of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for waking up so early on a Sunday. Besides being early, being here on a Sunday. And as you can see in my screen, I have my greatest, most amazing mentor, Mr. Tony Robbins. If you don't know who Tony Robbins is, as soon as we're done, I want you to go check him out. Let me start. Let me put my phone off because otherwise I'm gonna be distracted. So if you haven't heard about this guy, Tony Robbins, I strongly suggest you that you go check him out. And I won't do the introduction about him. I'm gonna let my oldest son, Avelino Espinosa, who's gonna be joining me today in the conversation. Avelino is 21 years old. He is a real estate agent and he is a senior, officially a senior in the University of San Francisco. So Avelino, are you with us? Because I'm sharing my screen, so I can't see you yet. Let me see.
I'm here.
I don't see you.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
The camera thing did not apply to you. Just kidding. Let me see. Okay, great. Thank you. I see you now. So, Avelino, can you help me introduce Mr. Tony Robbins? Can you tell everybody who this guy is? Because you were the one that introduced me to him. So I didn't know about him. I knew about him thanks to you. So tell us.
He's a life coach. He's a strategist. He's an entrepreneur. So yeah, for people who are looking to change their lives or are stuck, I guess he's the one you go to. So
Nice.
yeah.
Do you remember how old were you when you started following him?
He wasn't the first one. It was one of his business partners that I started following. His name was Dean. I was like 14, 15 when I first found him.
You
So
were 14, 15 when you found Dean, and then from
yeah.
Dean you found Tony. 14, and Alan, you're next, okay? So from 14 to 15, what attracted you from these guys? Like, why did you follow Dean? Why did you follow Tony at 14, 15 years old?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, it's a great question. I didn't, I don't know. I guess I just kind of caught it, what's it called? It caught my eye, it caught my attention. Because I knew I wanted to get into business. I just didn't know what. And I thought that they would help. So I was like, what do I have to lose?
Okay, so at 14, 15, you're telling me that you knew already you wanted to get into business.
Yeah.
How did you find that out? Like, how did you make that decision at such a young age?
I don't,
Yes, you do know. Let's
no,
remember.
I
How did
don't.
you know? How did you make that decision of going into business at age 14, 15?
Well, I mean, I was, I was working since young, since I was little. My dad starting the banda, and then to you guys having the restaurant, and then to you guys, eventually opening up Apple Creek. Um,
Oh, okay.
I always knew I wanted to get into it, like you guys. I just, you know, didn't know what.
You didn't know what kind of business, but you knew you wanted to be in business.
Hmm.
Okay, nice. Thank you for sharing. Alan, you're next. And Avelino, if you can keep your camera on throughout the whole class, I will appreciate it when you're ready. Alan, you're next.
Yeah.
Can you turn on your camera, please?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't see you. No, not yet. Okay, great. Thank you. Ooh, let me take a picture of this. I'll send it to you guys. I can see Carlitos, Belly, and Alan in the first row. It's so cute. Like you guys are all lined up on the first line. Alan, you went to see Tony Robbins when you were what, 15? I think you were 15. You were not even 16. You were 15. What are your thoughts of being in an event that your parents drag you because it wasn't like really your decision, like we bring you to the event and you went back when you were older, so you went to two different Tony Robbins events. Tell me what you thought at the beginning when you were 15 and tell me what you thought on the second event.
The first time I didn't really get a lot of things because I was still young
Uh-huh.
and it's all new to me. And then the second time I got more things because I was obviously older and I already went through it. So it was better. It was a better time the second time.
What are your thoughts on the first event? Like on the first event, like if you think about it now, what were you thinking in the first event and on the second event? What was your main takeaway on the second event?
Mm, it was a long time ago. I
Well,
forgot.
just whatever you think. Like from this last event, what were your main takeaways?
Mm, it was a long time ago. I really don't remember much.
So what's the biggest lesson that you remember from Tony?
Um, I guess it doesn't matter where you start from or where you're from because I remember he was like grew up in a rough household, so and he got to where he is right now, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, wow. So say that again. I really like that. Say that again.
It doesn't matter where you start from. You can get anywhere you want as long as you really want it.
Oh my God. Thank you for sharing that. And Alan is a senior in high school and he's going to college next year as well. So super excited for him. Well, thank you both, my boys, for sharing this. And I want to start with this, everyone. I want to start with money. And the whole reason why I am so motivated on sharing these strategies with everybody here, it's because at the end of the day, everyone who's here, it's gonna pay the price of what's happening in the economy right now. And we are at a time where it becomes more difficult and more difficult to make decisions because we are in the information age. And everybody who's here has the information right on our phone. And we think that we know it all, and we think that it's easier when in reality it becomes more challenging. Making decisions has been one of the toughest areas for the new generation because we have everything here. And yet we don't know where to start or we don't know what to do. Um, let me see. Where's Alondra? Alondra, you still with us, mija? I saw you. Oh, yes, there you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
Alondra, what do you think is the biggest challenge in your generation? Like, if you think about money, if you think about mental health, if you think about jobs, profession, like giving your all, like making your parents proud, like out of everything that goes on in life for you at 20 years old, because you're not even 21 yet, what do you think is the most challenging item that your generations are dealing with or have to deal with?
That's a good question. But I think that like the standard that our parents hold on us, because they're like, oh, we accomplished this much at your age, and why aren't you like I haven't accomplished this much? Like they literally bought a house at like 20, and then I'm like, oh, still in college.
Mm. I like that. So the standard. The standard and sometimes Avelino's my coach and he's my mentor and he's my teacher. And one time he told me, he's like, Mom, parents do the right thing for the wrong reason.
I think I was there. I think I was.
Do the right thing for the wrong reasons. And that being said, it's because us parents, most of us, if we think about, let's go, and thank you, Alondra, for sharing. Let's go through the chart that I want to share with you guys. Which generation are you? Let's start with the generation of, let's go with the generation, the people that are between 60 and 78 years old. So baby boom generation, people who are between 60 to 78 that were born between 1946 and 1964. Then we have the generation X, baby bust generation, which is from the year 1965 to 1979, which is between 45 years old and 59 years old. Then we have the Xennials, okay, the X, Generation X. No, that's not Generation X, Xennials, okay. From 1975 to 1985, between 39 years old and 49 years old. Then we have the Millennials, the Gen Next, between 1980 to 1994, which is their age is between 30 and 44. And then the Gen Z, which is 1995 to 2012. And they are between 12 and 29 years old. And the Generation Alpha, between 2013 and 2025. So they're between 1 and 11. So my youngest son is a Gen Alpha because he's 6. Alondra, what generation are you?
Gen Z.
Gen Z, what generation are your parents?
My dad is Generation X.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom. Oh yeah, I think the same.
Okay, nice. Why am I sharing you guys this? Because in order for you guys to understand money and being able to become financially independent, and this is one of the things that that I really want to emphasize in this class and anytime we get together, is that the reality of life, it's not the reality that your parents or the people around you are sharing or are telling you that it is. Because unfortunately, the biggest challenge that we have right now is that information is running so fast that whatever was the trend yesterday, it may not be the trend today. Whatever happened last year, it may not be the most important or successful or fun thing to do today. So your parents have done the best that they can with the information that they have, and just understanding that their generation went through a completely different pattern, a completely different season that you guys are in right now, and understanding that it's not your fault and that there's nothing wrong with you. They're doing the best that they can with what they have. Parents do the right things, the wrong things for the right reasons. Some of us don't know how to motivate you. Sometimes we don't know how to push you. Sometimes we don't know how to help you get ahead in life. And sometimes we use words that our parents use. And those words for you may mean something completely different. Maybe they're trying to motivate you, but they're saying the wrong things for the right reasons. There's definitely not a school of parenting, okay? So I can tell you guys that we figure it out on the job. We figure it out as we go. I definitely figure it out with the first one. So Avelino was my lucky charm, right? So I tested with him. Then Alan came and I had some experience. And now with Al, it's like, oh, I got this. I'm not gonna do this, and that, which I already did with my older children. So why is it so important to understand what generation you're in and what generation are your parents? Because at the end of the day, life, it's about love. I'm gonna say that again. At the end of the day, life, it's about love. You can make all the money in the world. You can have a big fat bank account. But if you don't feel appreciated, if you don't feel loved, if you don't feel understood, if you don't feel that you're important, it's going to be very challenging to become fulfilled. And unfortunately, in the era that we're living right now, in the season that we're living right now, it is very common for young people to not feel appreciated from their parents, their guardians, the people that raised them. It is so important for a human being to feel appreciated and to feel that the stuff that you're doing matters. I had a conversation with a 25-year-old, and he's like, I just want to please my parents. I'm doing this job because I want to please them. And I feel so stressed out and so stuck because I'm doing stuff that I don't like to do, but I'm doing it because I need to please them. Unconsciously, we're looking for love. And let me tell you guys something. If your parents didn't have love from their parents, don't expect your parents to give you something that they don't have. And they don't know this information. You're listening to me right now and you may say, oh, whatever. But I'm planting the seed because I really want you guys to be free and to set your parents free. Your parents are like children. They didn't feel the love from their parents. They had the same feeling that they had to stand up at their standards, and they messed up and they did so much like crazy stuff that affected you. But I don't want you to continue being a victim and blame them because of what happens. I really want you guys to set yourself free. And the way that you're going to set yourself free is by letting your parents being free. If your dad is with you, amazing. If he's not, trust me, he's going through hell. He went through hell because he had pain as well. If your mom is with you, it's amazing. But if she's not, she went through hell as well. As human beings, we cannot give what we don't have. And right now, if you're still here and you're connected through your phone and you have Wi-Fi, guess what? You matter and you're important to somebody. That person may not tell you, but you are important. And it is your responsibility, not theirs, to break the chain. That's why I'm here. That's why I dragged Alan to these courses, these classes. And that's why at 17 years old, he's here. I didn't have to do it with Avelino. I don't know, he was easy. Like he had that drive, but trust me, did he had it easy? No, he graduated middle school with a 2.5. He had bullied, like he was bullied at he wasn't bullied, but his friends bullied him, and even his teachers in elementary school. And I had to change him schools. And when I told him, Avelino, you're not gonna stay here, she said, Mom, it's okay, they're fine. He was so freaking afraid. He did not want it to move. He had no freaking friends. Everybody made fun of him because he was overweight and because he didn't know the video games of that time. And I said, I'm gonna move you from schools. He's like, no, I'm okay here. They're fine. And when I moved, he's like, Ma, oh my God, it was such a relief. But again, we don't know what we don't know when we're in that toxic environment. The point that I'm trying to make to start off today is that everything that goes around in your life, whether you like it or not, goes back to love. It goes back to love. How are you guys feeling that whatever you're doing, it's gonna matter? Whether you're doing this and you're that things, that that's what you're supposed to be doing, or your mom thinks that's what you're supposed to be doing. Parents are always gonna have an opinion. We're always gonna have an opinion. Always. And unfortunately, sometimes parents do the wrong things for the right reasons. Just remember that. Okay. So let's talk about money. Why are we here? I'm not gonna be wasting your guys' time. The reason why I created these courses, and we're gonna be continuing having more classes in regards to your life blueprint, is because I wanna talk to you about real money. I really want you to wake up and see what it is and what it takes to be financially independent. I'm gonna respect your parents and I'm gonna respect their opinions. And we're gonna respect them, but their way, it's definitely most likely not gonna be your way. And there's so many ways to be financially independent and financially free. You just gotta know the map and you just gotta know the blueprint on how to get it done. And this is why I'm here, and this is why my son is here, and this is why we're creating this for you, so you can know exactly what you have to do to become financially independent. Alondra, do you think that having an annual salary of 87,000, it's a good amount? Is it a lot of money? Like what comes to your mind when I said, oh, having a salary of $87,000? What do you think of that?
I feel like it's good.
It's
It's
good.
okay.
Oh, it's good. Now it got downgraded. So why are you thinking it's okay? Why did it got it downgraded to it's okay?
Because I'm thinking about like the salary here and then the salary, like what that salary would be like in California, for example. Yeah.
What about, and you're in the state of Washington, so what about for the state of Washington where you live? How is that salary? Is that a good salary?
Oh, that's good.
That's
Yeah.
good. Okay, now let's do the math. So when we talk about taxes, okay, I'm also going to be talking to you guys about taxes, because the more educated you are with your money, and taxes is something that it's not going to go away. Listen, the reason why your parents were able to buy a home at age 20, and the reason why that generation was able to get ahead in life, is because back then the values of the properties were not where the values of the properties that we have right now. And most of your parents had a W-2, not all, most were employees. And had a W-2 and were at the same job. Alondra, how many years did your dad work for the company that he was working for before he moved?
Like 20 something.
20 years. Okay, 20 years. What's the average right now? What's the average? And I'm gonna go to you, Carlitos. In your friends, around your friends, around your the people that you know, what's the average that you have seen the people last right now in a job? 2, 3, how many years?
Well, so far, yeah, 2 years, 3 years. They usually don't last long.
Yeah, thank you. So back then, you were an employee for life. We were loyal, right? We were loyal, and we will work for a company for many years. Now, what about now? How long does it usually take for someone to last at a job? And I'm gonna share this really quick, because I'm not gonna answer this. I actually have a video, so you guys can hear this. Let's see. Okay.
Because I think leadership is, you are in a very difficult and uncomfortable position. because I think leadership is more difficult now than it has ever been, because you're dealing with human anxiety, you're dealing with human uncertainty, you're dealing with human ambition and human egos, and again, especially young people who think they know what they want and don't, who have certainty and are very outspoken and do not mind going around their boss's boss to come to you. So you're going to be dealing with a 19-year-old saying, "Why am I not given this?" And you're like, "I don't. Where do you work?" They have no fear of doing that. They also have no fear of quitting. And so we've seen this pattern where, remember, they're as a young generation, they're actually less equipped to deal with stress than previous generations. And so anxiety is high, and they're very confrontation avoidant. So, for example, we've seen this, where they feel like they deserve a raise, and they don't know how to ask for a raise. And so instead of asking for a raise, they'll just quit. And then sometimes with an email that says, "You don't value me, you don't pay me enough," you're like, we just had to ask. The answer, we love you, So they're not afraid of quitting, but they are afraid of asking for things. Or if they do ask for things, it sometimes comes across very aggressive or accidentally black and white. Like, "I've been here 8 months and I would like a 50% raise." And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, and the problem is that they're ill-equipped. What they're doing is they're putting you in a yes or no position. So even if you say, "Here's the plan to get you that over the course of the next 8 months," they take it as a no, because I asked for something black and white. And so one of the things I think there's a huge opportunity for our company is to help people to build in training that helps them with their human skills. I hate the term soft skills. Please, let's never use that term again. We talk about hard skills and soft skills. Those things are opposite. Hard and soft are opposites. They're hard skills, the skills you need to do your job, and human skills, the skills you need to be a better human being. And we want you to excel at both. And we're going to train you to do both. And some of the human skills that are underappreciated and undertrained in this day and age are how to have difficult conversations, how to have an effective confrontation, how to give and receive feedback. And I think we have to train those things so that if we equip them with the skills, instead of saying, "I've been here for 8 months, I want a raise," to say, "I've been here for 8 months, I really love it here. My goal is to stay here. I have financial ambitions. Can you help me get on a path to get to this number?" Now we can have a conversation, because it's now a continuum rather than a black and white question. But the point is I don't fault them. They lack the skills. And so I think there's a huge opportunity for an organization like yours to
Good times create weak people. Weak people create bad times. Bad times create strong people. Strong people create great times. Good people create weak people. Weak people create bad times. Bad times create strong people. Strong people create great times. There's a cycle for everything, guys. There's a cycle for everything. When we talk about life, everybody begins in spring. Everybody is born. And during the springtime, between age 0 to 21, it's super easy to grow. It's super easy to learn. During this time, you're growing. After spring comes the summer. In the summer, when we turn between 22 to 42, that's the young adulthood time. That's when we test and discover. Test what is learned. Decide what you will value. Time for relationships, kids, family. In the fall, between age 43 to 63, you start reaping or weeping. It's time of power, impact, taking charge, unwind of some relationships or careers. And then the last but not least, winter. Leadership, mentoring, slowing down, laying foundation for the next spring, clearing for the next spring. Alondra, do you think your parents went through this cycle of life, like what I'm describing here, especially your mom? With your dad, it's a little different, but you think your mom followed these seasons of life?
No.
Because she started such a young age.
Yeah.
Some more
I'm gonna
parents.
say for the simple fact that she got married at 19.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she basically skipped spring.
Now, when we think about the seasons and we think about the cycle that happens, and when we think about the generations, just understand this. Each generation went through a different cycle, but it was still spring, summer, fall, and winter. It is the same. We just don't know how to communicate because we're trying to do what we think it's best for our children, but we fall into this cycle, which is, to me, it is very scary for the next generations, including you guys. Carlitos, what do you think your generation is in this cycle?
Uh, I think it's the maybe good times create weak people.
Why?
Uh, well, how they were talking about how we can't really express ourselves when it comes to asking for a raise and all that. Like I feel like in the way of expressing ourselves, we're pretty weak.
I love that. Okay, thank you, Carlitos, for sharing. Avelino,
Yeah.
do you agree with him? Do you agree that your generation right now, it's at the good times create weak people?
I don't think so.
So where do you think we are in this cycle? Your generation.
I think weak people create bad times.
Oh, so you think that your generation is at the weak people create bad time. Why?
Because I just think that there's, you know, when you look at our generation, I mean, there's these talks about mental health and everything and about anxiety and depression and whatever it may be. And that just, and people feed off what's it called, acceptance of others, especially with social media. And I just think that just has made our generation very weak in the sense of sticking to a job, you know, knowing how to ask for a raise, knowing how to stick to a job, you know what I mean? So I just think we're very weak and it's creating bad times, you know. I mean, kids that are like 14, 15 are, you know, committing suicide because of social media. So, I mean, I don't understand the good times. I just see bad, you know, we're weak. We're not strong. So
And what's gonna be the next? Weak people create bad time, and what happens to the next?
what do you mean? You're asking me?
Yeah, so
Oh,
what's the next after
well,
that?
well, I mean, the bad times are going to create the strong people, you know, like Adlo's generation, I guess are going to be the ones that kind of fix the cycle.
Strong people create great times. When we think about, and thank you, Evelina, and thank you, Carlos, for sharing that. When we think about um, the times, and if you guys want this presentation, I just need a message from you so we can send it. I want you to guys to see this, and this is very, very important to have the education. And I don't know if school talks about this, and this is a great thing that I am very, like, this is something that I really want to plant in your mind. I love education. I love education, and I know some of you may not have the best experience in school. There's a big difference between school and education. You're gonna have to be educated to make the decisions that's gonna get you ahead of life. If you had a bad experience in school, that has nothing to do with your education. Nothing. That has nothing to do with your education. When it comes down on getting ahead of life, we need to be educated. The person who's more ignorant on taxes, the person who's more ignorant of money, that's the person who's always gonna be depending on somebody else. And I don't know about you, but I like to be independent. I don't want my mom to be telling me what to do or to be living with my parents for the rest of my life or starting my family and live with my parents. No, that's not freedom. Love your parents, but make your own decisions and that freedom, because we go back again. We as parents, we're always going to tell you something. We're always going to give you your opinion. Whether you ask for the opinion or not, that doesn't matter. We're still going to open our mouth. You like it or not, we're going to open our mouth. It's now on your court what you're going to do with the information that you're receiving from your parents. So going back to the taxes. Okay, Avelino, can you see the chart?
Yes.
What was the tax rate in 1985?
1985 was 50%.
Carlitos, what is the tax rate in 2020?
37%.
Alondra, what is the tax rate in the, let's say in the 60s? In the 60s, because your grandparents were born around the 40s, right? But most of us have parents or grandparents that were born in other country. But Alondra, 1950, what was the tax rate in 1950?
84.
84% tax rate. What does that mean? Let's put it into perspective. Let's look at what that actually means when we talk about money. So if you live in the Bay Area, in California, and you make $87,000 a year, ooh, it may seem like it is a lot of money. But when we look at the tax rate at 37%, 87,000, the IRS will take from you $32,190 in taxes, especially because you're young, single, not young, but you're single and you don't have dependents, okay? If we net $54,810, so you make in paper $87,000, but you gotta pay your taxes, and you're left with $54,810. If we divide that by 12, that gives me $4,557 net per month. Carlitos, what's the average rent in the Bay Area? What's the average rent amount to rent an apartment or to rent a house? What do you think is the average?
It's around 2,000 or even more now, honestly.
Let's do 2,000. Then how averagely, how much do you think it's a car payment? Like how much is, like if you need a car, you need to go get a car. What's the average monthly payment of a car?
It's no less than 500.
No less than 500. Now let's talk about insurance. You're young. You're young and free. What's the usual average on the insurance of a car?
Well, for us, it's like 200.
Let's do
250.
200. Yeah, 200. Now let's talk about the cell phone. How much do you pay on your cell phone?
I pay 100 a month for mine.
Okay, that's 100. Now let's talk about your internet. Like even if you don't pay for it, how much do you think the internet, like, because I'm just listing the basic things, right? I'm not even listing anything else, just the basic. How much do you think internet cost?
I think it's 50. I think ours is 50.
Okay, and then what about food? How much do you think your parents, not you, your parents spend on a weekly basis to have the fridge full?
Oh, like I think like for sure sometimes it could go up to like 500, depending how many times they go. per
Yeah.
week.
So let's do 2,000, okay?
Yeah,
Now,
for
what
sure.
about clothing and what about eating out? Like how much does he usually, how much do we usually spend when we go out? Like, let's say two people go out and eat. What's usually the bill?
Like 60,
Okay,
70.
60 or 70. Let's do the math. Rent, 2,000. Car, 500. Insurance, 200. The cell phone and the internet, 150 plus food plus eating out. We came out with $4,910. $4,910. And the income that we have here is 45. So we're already negative $400. And we didn't even talk about water, garbage. We did not even talk about health insurance. We didn't even talk about everything else. Your parents were able to buy a house where the mortgage for most was less than $3,000 or less than $3,500. Maybe in Washington, but not in California. It's going to be very challenging to find a mortgage for under $3,500. If your parents were listening to me right now and were actually realizing these numbers, their perception of what you have accomplished, what you have done or have not done could be different. But it's very challenging for a Generation X or a baby boomer or whatever generation your parents are in to actually do the math before they criticize you. Because they were not taught to think like that. They thought about just going to work, be loyal, work, be happy, just be loyal, just be there, and it's okay. In your generation, it's not like that. That's why I share with you the table for each generation and the seasons. If we do the math like this, and we think that our son or our daughter has a great job and is making $87,000 a year, and we just don't understand why she or he can't buy a home or why they're still living at home and why they can't get ahead in life, it's as simple as doing math. But who does that? Not in our culture. It's not something that I think I remember one of my clients told me, well, I'm not used to planning ahead. I'm not used to sitting down and looking at the numbers. It's like, a ver qué pasa, a ver qué pasa. We can't afford to live like that, not by your generation. Listen to me, not in your generation. Beliefs from your parents are the number one thing that I encourage you to acknowledge and respect, but do not accept. Accept the beliefs that are the reality in your generation and the era that you're living right now. The beliefs that your parents have are their beliefs. You gotta respect them and love them, but you don't gotta bring it to your life. And I'm not saying that you have to reveal and make a whole drama and start fighting. No, you gotta love. Remember, it's all about love. You gotta love and respect, but you gotta choose wisely. Because unfortunately, most of our parents are innocent of all this information. And we just talk based on the feeling of frustration that what? They want the best for you. They want to see you successful. They want to see you thrive, but they don't understand your generation. They don't understand your generation and they're trying to do what they can with what they know. Okay, let's look at the working age. Let's say you figure it out by age 30. Let's say you figure it out and you stop jumping from one place to another and you figure out what you're going to do with your life in terms of career-wise at age 30. Let's just say age 30. If you work from age 30 to age 65, that's 35 years. I'm just doing simple math, okay? I'm just doing simple math because I want you guys to get the overall concept. In the next classes, we're gonna break it down on how you're gonna be able to earn your first million. It is not difficult to earn and to have $1 million in cash. If your parents didn't do it, that does not mean you cannot do it. They didn't know how to do it. They didn't have anybody that sat with them and worked out the numbers and helped them see how achievable it was to have $1 million cash. I'm going to give you guys the secret. I'm going to give you guys the blueprint. I'm going to give you guys the map. It's going to be up to you. I'm planting the seed. Whether you agree with me or not right now, whether you like it or not, what I'm saying right now, I'm planting the seed. What you do with it, it's going to be your responsibility, not your parents. It's your responsibility. And going through life being a victim and blaming everybody else is the recipe for living in pain and not actually living a fulfilled life. So, Alondra, 35 years at 54,810. Where did I get this amount? If you make 87,000 times 37% in tax, that takes away from you 32,000. If we have, if we take out the 32 from the 87, that gives us the 54. Are you guys following me? Okay, if we multiply 54,810 times 35 years, Alondra, the amount is there. How much is it?
1,918,350.
Okay, and I'm not even thinking, and I'm not even accounting the raise because inflation keeps growing, so that amount is gonna grow, okay? But just that, working for 35 years at 54,810 will give you 1.9 million, okay? Now, let's look at a retirement. If you stop working at age 65 and you have a life expectancy of 85 years old, listen to me right now. Technology is enhancing and extending the life expectancy. My grandparents, from my mom's side, my grandfather passed away, but it wasn't from a medical condition, very young. I think he wasn't even 55. But my grandma lived up to 85, I believe. Okay. From my other side, from my dad, my grandpa lived to 87. So life expectancies, let's say just 85. So if you stop working at age 65 to age 85, that's 20 years. If you need $5,000 to live off, because let's think about just having a mortgage pay, let's think about you don't have any debts, but Alondra, no, Carlitos, how many people who are between 60 to 65 do you know today that are financially free, that are dependent on themselves? They're not dependent on anybody else. 100 from 100%, how many people do you know that at age 65 right now don't have to work, they have their house paid off, they're like living the life, like they don't have to depend on anybody? How many people do you know? What percentage?
I don't think I know anybody, honestly.
He doesn't know anybody. And they had it easy, right? Like, hey, back then it wasn't like as much, right? He doesn't know anybody. Avelino, do you know anybody? Alondra, do you know anybody who's 65, who has everything paid off? They don't have to work. They're like living the life.
No.
Avelino? No. Okay. So let's shall continue. So if we still need $5,000 a month after age 65, that gives us 60,000 per year. So if you need to have 60,000 per year to live for the next 20 years, that gives us $1.2 million. Why am I so obsessed of talking about Más Latinos Millonarios? And why am I so obsessed about talking on how you can make, how you can earn, and how you can have $1 million cash? Because that's not even luxury yet, ladies and gentlemen. That's having $1 million. It's like basic. It's basic necessity. It's not even like being like super rich and having a luxury life. That's not it. But the reason why your community, the reason why society see it so bad is because we don't usually take the time to do the math. When you think about someone wants to become millionaire, oh, we think all the bad. We're like, oh, it's ambitious and it has ego, and like they just, like we start putting all these labels on people because we don't understand that it's actually what we need to survive and not depend on anybody else. Because listen, if you're depending on somebody else, you're gonna have to deal with their advice and all the stuff that makes you feel even worse because you feel like you don't stand up to their standards. Got it? So how are we going to be able to earn $1 million? I'm going to give you guys the blueprint. Not today. It's a process. And I'm looking for results. I'm not looking just for another class. I'm looking for results. So whoever is going to commit to continue being with me on a Sunday morning or on a Wednesday evening, whatever times I have the classes, if you're committed, you're going to learn. And it's not that hard because you guys have what it takes. You have a brain, you have a heart, and you have time. That's all you need. A brain, a heart, and time. You guys have that. You guys have that. When we talk about investments, you guys are going to learn about where to invest your money. We're going to talk about taxes because taxes is something that we're not going to get rid of. And after COVID, the generation that's going to pay the price is everybody of you, everyone. Just understand this. There's no such thing as money coming from the sky. When you hear people or your parents say, oh, don't go to this tax person, go to that tax person, because with that tax person, you get more back. Or no, those are just taboos. We got to understand that money has to come from somebody's pocket. And it's always going to come from the middle income. It's not coming from the rich. I can tell you that because the rich knows that they have to pay to get advice. They know they have to get educated. And the middle income, somebody who's making between 50,000 to 150,000, don't understand the concept of education. Just hard work with my body. That is not going to get you anywhere. That's what the beliefs that our parents have. You got to work physical. You got to work hard. You got to go. That's obsolete. That's not it. You can work as hard as you can and be broke. Okay, so in the next classes, I'm going to teach you guys how it is so easy within the next 10, 15, 20 years for you to have a portfolio with more than $1 million. But that's going to require discipline and the hunger to do more, to be free and to free your parents from those chains because you're here. They're not here. They don't know this. You're learning this. So it's on you to make the change. We cannot change anybody. We can only inspire them. You're not going to be able to change your parents. You're not going to be able to change them. You got to love them and respect them, and you got to inspire them. But you do not have to take their pain with you. It's their pain, their mistakes, their point of views, their beliefs. You take what's going to work for you and you respectfully leave them with the beliefs that don't work for you. Okay? So the problem that you solve is value. Value equals one plus more than one, because you can make hundreds of millions of dollars, $1 million. The problem that you solve is value. I'm going to say that again. The problem that you solve is value. Okay, now I'm going to ask around. Avelino.
Yes,
Thinking
mom.
thinking about a profession. Like, let's say a 16 years old, 17-year-old, 20-year-old is thinking about what to do after high school. I'm going to graduate. I want to do this. I want to do that. I could do this. I could do that. But like, oh my God, it's so many. Like, I get anxiety. Like, I don't know. Like, there's so many things that I could do, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how to make that decision and what to do, right? When you think about a profession, a career, or a business, everything it's around solving a problem. You chose real estate, right? So what problem does real estate solve?
Uncertainty. Well, I mean, being an agent, especially for a lot of first-time home buyers, when you think about, well, it really depends, right? Because you might be working with an investor or that work first-time home buyer.
Talking high words here. You're talking the high words here now. When
No.
you're talking about investors or first-time home buyers, let's talk about first-time home buyers, okay? Let's talk about first-time home buyers. What problem do you solve with a first-time home buyer?
Exactly. So I said uncertainties, the nervousness, it's buying a home is probably it's the biggest purchase, Americans make in their lifetime. So it's you need someone who's going to be able to answer all the questions that you have. Someone that's going to bring certainty,
So the problem that your profession solves is uncertainty.
and protection as well.
Tell me more about protection.
Well, you're dealing with a lot of money, right? So,
Mm.
when during we call, it's called escrow, it's you have money that, can possibly be lost if they can't end up buying a home. So it's our job to protect that money and to make sure they don't lose any of it.
So when you thought about real estate, did you saw yourself knocking on doors and doing calls, calling people that you don't know? Did you thought that you had to do this, or did you knew you had to do that?
No.
Okay, so when you found out that real estate was actually sales and being super uncomfortable, because who likes to make calls? Who likes to knock on doors? What was your impression? Like, what do you thought when you realized that you had to do that? That you had to call people that you didn't know and you had to knock doors of strangers?
Well, I mean, I could have just, if I'm being honest, right? I had an option. I could have just quit. I just could have kept working with you guys, and it would have been fine. But I knew that if I wanted to ultimately build something for myself, it was going to require me to do something I've never done before. So, that's like, I might not like it now, but 10 years down the line, it's going to pay off.
So you were comfortable being uncomfortable.
I was what?
You were comfortable being uncomfortable. You were okay with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Nice. Okay, so now let's go back to the main question. So when you think about the clients that you have clients that you're working with who are my clients, and you have clients that you got on your own at 20, 21 years old on your own, and you have closed deals on clients on your own, and you're working with communities that are non-Latinos. So the last transactions that you closed were non-Latinos, and they were not my clients. They were your own very own clients. What's the main difference? Like, how do you think the clients that you have helped to buy these homes, multi-million-dollar homes, first-time home buyers, what do you think is the main difference between their culture and our culture? Like when you're talking about a new home buyer, a Latino new home buyer versus a non-Latino home buyer? First of all, the amounts that they can afford are so wide. Like you just closed a $1.7 million deal. And we have clients that can't even afford 800,000, right? So what do you think was the main difference? Both of them are first-time home buyers. Well, what do you think is the key difference between both cultures, communities?
So I'm not gonna say any names, right? Because I don't like
No,
to.
no, don't say names.
I know,
No.
I know. I'm just saying, but like yesterday, it's funny because yesterday Carlos was there. We were making some food, and there was someone who asked me about the home buying. It's like, oh, how's the market and everything. And then I mentioned, and I started in blah blah blah. And then I was like, if you apply all together, you can afford so much more. You don't have to do it on your own. And I think that's the biggest thing that our community is like Latinos, right? Is that we think that we can do it on our own. We want to do it on our own. And when I look at other cultures, right, they don't do it alone, they do it together. And because they do it together, not only can they afford so much more, but they have, endless opportunities for so much more. So yeah, I think it's just the ego to wanting to do it alone when you don't have to.
Do you think your generation has that ego on your own? Like, and I'm saying ego is nothing bad, okay? Ego, it's not something like it's bad. We just need to acknowledge it. But knowing that I needed to do it alone, you think someone like your cousins or your friends, Latino friends, because non-Latino think differently, but your Latino friends, when you guys, is not the parents, you think you guys have the same mindset that you gotta do it alone, or do you think that you guys are more open to working together to accomplish something, or is it the same thing as the previous generation that think that they gotta do it alone?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. That's a good question. So, I mean, I'm gonna, acknowledge that I used to be like that. I used to think that I had to do this on my own. Um, and that was one of the biggest reasons, right, why I really started in real estate or kind of left, the family business was because I wanted to do it on my own until I got to a place where people were succeeding at very high levels and they didn't do it alone. So I think that's what kind of shifted my mindset. That's number one. But I think
I remember that you didn't even want to help my clients because you wanted to figure out on your own. It's like, I don't want you to give me anything. I need to do it on my own. Oh, I remember that.
no, but I think when it comes to, our family and stuff, I think it just takes one person to kind of stand out and be like, let's do this. But there's a difference between saying it and doing it, right? Like knowledge is potential power, and then execution is ultimately the real power. So it's just actually doing it.
Yep, it's actually executing it. Thank you so much for sharing, mi amor. Thank you. Alondra.
Yes. What was the question?
It's a new question. What problem does your dad solve at his work? And Carlitos, I'm going to ask you the same. So, Alondra, what problem does your dad solve at his work?
He does the maintenance, right? Maintenance.
Okay. What problem is he solving? Not what he's doing. What problem is he solving? I'm making you think. What problem is he solving? I don't know who you're looking at, but I want you to
It's
So-
Betty.
What problem do you think your dad solves at his work?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm making you think. Okay, I'm going to ask you a different question. What is the career that you have chosen for yourself and why?
Psychology.
Okay, you're studying psychology, you're going to college for psychology. Why?
Because I'm really interested in development and Mental health.
What problem are you trying to solve starting or not starting, but studying this subject in college? What's the problem that you want to solve?
Well, especially with my career, I guess child development, the one that I chose.
Okay, what problem do you see with child development that you chose psychology that you're trying to help with?
Like you said earlier, carrying the parents' past traumas.
Ultimately, what's the problem that you're solving with that career?
Myself, maybe.
Ooh, now we go, hey, now we go back. Like, and this is not a therapy session, okay? This is not a therapy question. But I want you guys to see, by listening to what they're saying, what Avelino say, what Alondra is saying, I want to guide you to the path of discovering the value that you're going to bring when you choose the career. Anything can make you money, even selling chocolates or even working at UPS or Starbucks or whatever. But that's not going to happen until you understand what problem you solve. You're not going to be looking for the correct or the right profession. You're looking for the problem that fulfills you as a human being, that adds value to other people's lives. That's why it's so challenging to stick with a job or stick with one thing, because we're looking what's going to make us more money. And that is not the goal as a human being. You're looking for love. Even if you say right now that I'm wrong and that I'm crazy, down deep in your heart, you know that you're looking to be accepted, to be loved, to be seen, to be understood, to feel love. Feel, not when your dad says, yes, I love you, but he's criticizing you all the time. And when you do something right, he's telling you how you're not doing these things right. You want to feel it. Ultimately, what we're looking for is to feel love. So when you're choosing the career, when you're choosing what path you're going to follow in your life, it's all about identifying what problem you solve. And look at how Alondra went back to herself. She's like, well, childhood, what did you say, development, and then for the past traumas and all of that. And she went back, was like, well, maybe it's because of me. And that's so beautiful, because you're connecting with your pain and you're identifying how you want to make an impact on other people's lives. And that, let me tell you, Alondra, is going to fulfill you so much that you're not going to have $1 million. You're going to have tons of millions on your bank account. Tons of millions. But if you had told me, you know what, I'm doing psychology because I see other psychologists making so much money, and my mom told me that this is a career that I should do because it's going to pay me the most, that will be a different answer. Because you're not connecting with what you really believe in. And that's all about careers. Now, did your parents knew this? Of course not. So they're not going to tell you the advice that they don't know. They just know that you need to look for the highest paying and that you should do this, that if they're in construction, you should be in construction, and you could do this, and they have all these ideas because they are in this environment. But maybe you're not meant to be in that environment. Maybe you're meant to be in a different environment, especially for males. Especially for males. In our Latino community, in our Latino cultures, you don't have to follow your dad's footsteps on construction. You don't. It's great that you have the skill. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing that you have the skill, but you could be working, making $1 million and more in beautiful field, being on a computer or being all dressed up and fancy. It's going to be uncomfortable for your dad because as a male, as a macho man, wants to see you dirty and wants to see you like, órale, cabrón, chingale, chingale. Sorry for my French, but that's just how it is, right? And it's for you guys, it's okay not to do that. Because at the end of the day, it's all about what problem do you solve. Artificial intelligence, AI, is gonna take away a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs. Machines. A lot of machines are gonna replace humans. And with the mindset and the beliefs and the challenges that your generation has, makes it more challenging to follow the footsteps on your parents. I'm talking to the boys right now. I'm talking to the males right now. It's gonna become more challenging, okay, for you guys. And it's okay. You just gotta be okay in knowing that your dad is telling you what he thinks in his heart is best for you. And you gotta love and respect that. You don't have to accept it. You gotta love and respect that. And you don't have to respond like he responds. If he's aggressive, if he doesn't know how to communicate his love to you, I'm talking to the boys right now because I have 4 in my household. So trust me, I see this all the time, okay? So if your dad doesn't know how to communicate or transfer that love to you, it's not his fault. He was just, he didn't learn that from his dad. It's not his fault. And whatever he's telling you, you don't have to react to what he's saying. You should do this, or you're not doing that. I love you, Dad. It's okay. Just brush it off. Don't add another pain, another rock to your heart. Just know that he loves you to death. He will give his life for you. But don't take it too hard that, ay, no me entiende, he doesn't understand me. He's saying that. No, brush it off. He's doing the best that he can with what he has. And you don't have to follow on the same footsteps as he did, because his industry may not be here for the next 10 years. With AI and all the stuff that's coming, may not be here. Okay, so I don't want to get off the subject. That's a different subject. So going back, thank you, Alondra. Carlitos, question. What problem does Lily solve with her business?
Well, for her or just in general?
Whatever comes to mind.
For her, besides the fact that she loves her job, money, honestly, money. But, yeah.
So tell me, what do you mean about money?
So she loves her job, but essentially the problem that she's solving in her life is money. Like she has money because of her job.
Okay, perfect. Now, let me ask another question. What problem is she solving with the service that she offers? What's the problem that she offers with the service that she's offering?
She is solving a dog's haircut, like making it look nice, making the person happy that their dog looks nice. So it's, yeah, essentially making someone else happy. Yeah.
Well, you got it. So the problem that she solves is that the pet's owner feel happy, really care, right?
Yeah.
The dog doesn't really care. I mean, he or she's more comfortable, but she's solving the problem of the pet owner, right? Being able to be happy by seeing his pet all groomed and all clean and all nice. Okay, perfect. Now, let's think about your dad. What problem do you think your dad or that industry that he work in general solve? Or no, now let's even think about him. Let's talk about you. When you went to work in his industry, what problem were you solving at the job that you were doing?
So we made like cabinets and stuff for like organizations or like buildings or whatever. So
Okay.
I mean, the most I got out of it and the reason why I left is because it all just everything that we saw is for the boss, is not for us. It doesn't benefit us.
Mm.
So it's usually just like for someone higher, the higher up. And that's what I got out of it. That's why I left.
Mhm.
And I didn't
Wait,
want to end up like my dad, working for a lot of years.
did you actually enjoy doing the actual
I
job?
I did. Well, I like to work with my dad. It was a fun time. I like working with the machinery and stuff, but like working for someone else isn't really the plan.
Mm. And what percentage of people your generation do you think like you?
I think a lot do, but for the same reason that parents aren't really seeing the picture on why we choose to like leave jobs and try to like find our actual passion. They don't actually ascend it and go out and look for their actual passion. They just stay in whatever job they get to make their parents happy.
Yeah, I love it. So when I say that you're able to earn and have more than $1 million in your bank account cash from identifying what problem you solve, like when we're actually peeling the onion and identifying what's going to be the path that you're going to follow to make this happen, what comes to your mind? What were you thinking when you were hearing me, listening to me when I was sharing all of this a few minutes ago?
Can you repeat that? Sorry about that.
So what comes to your mind now? Like all the stuff that I have shared so far, what comes to your mind? What besides your brain spinning with so much stuff, what's on your mind?
Oh well, I'm eager to learn how to make money, and well, I know that first it comes with a passion, because of course if you're not um passionate about what you're doing, it's not gonna benefit you. But yeah, I'm eager to learn on how to make the money.
And I'm so happy that you're here, Mijo. Thank you so much. So one of the things, the main thing that I want you guys to take away from today is that money, it is important. And that for your generation, you do need at least $1 million cash to be able to be free. Okay. It's not even to be like rich. It's to be able to have a future when you don't depend on your children. Freedom. Freedom. It's the ability to go party with no help. Freedom. It's the ability to choose where you live and where your kids are going to live. You guys are young right now. I was there. My husband was there. Your dad was there. Your parents were there. We had the same age that you have right now. The same age. And how you see your dad and how you see your grandparents, you're going to get there. You are going to get there. And you have the most precious asset in your hands right now, which is time. You don't need money. You just need time. The greatest asset in your life is your time. The biggest lessons that I had from my mentors is that you gotta be super careful with who you hang out with, because that people, that environment is gonna drain your time. There's nothing more valuable in your life than time. And if you don't know how to organize your time and what to do with your time, if you've seen other older people, 60, 85 years old, having to depend on somebody to go to the bathroom, listen to me. That day is gonna come. We don't take care of our health. We don't take care of our body. We don't give the priority of exercising, eating healthy, taking vitamins, not using drugs, not using alcohol, plus the drugs of being on social media. Add that to it. what's most likely going to happen is you're going to depend on somebody else to go to the bathroom when you're older. Is that what you want? I don't think that's what you want. So the most precious asset that you have right now is time. That's all it is. It's time. Being educated in money, but before even being educated for money, like the first thing that I want everybody here to do is to give thanks to your parents from the bottom of your heart. That's the first thing. If you think that what they're doing is wrong or how they live their life is wrong, I respect that. But you gotta give them thanks, because thanks to them, you're here right now. And you're not gonna be able to move forward unless you feel grateful for your parents. Whether if your dad is with you or he's not with you, doesn't matter. If you have both parents and they're fighting all the time, does not matter. Doesn't matter. It's all about you and your future and the future generations. So the first thing is being grateful and giving thanks for the parents that you have. The second, it's understanding that anything more than money, what's most valuable for your life right now is your time. It's your time. And then number three, who you're hanging out with. Who you're hanging out with. The fastest way to earn $1 million and be financially successful, we're going to talk about it in the next class, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of heads up of what we're going to cover. It's doing two things. You have your job and you're making money to pay your bills, okay? And you start creating a money machine. That's what I'm going to teach you guys in the next classes. So you got to understand that you have two priorities. If you don't have children right now, if you're not a parent right now, you're a single, beautiful, young adult. You have two priorities. Having a job to pay your bills and creating a money machine. I'm going to teach you guys how to create a money machine. Why? Because in order for Avelino to earn money, he needs to be knocking on doors, calling on people. He needs to put in time. If he goes to Washington and hangs out with his cousins and have the time of his life, he's not working. That means he's not going to earn money. Okay? Same thing goes for Alondra, same thing goes for Carlito, same thing goes for Areli, same thing goes for everybody. We don't work, we don't earn. Right? I don't want Avelino to having to be working all the time. He needs to build a money machine. And nowadays it's so easy to make a money machine because all we need is time. We don't need, listen to me, we don't need money, we need time. And everybody here has time. You just need to know the recipe to make this money machine. Okay? So we're gonna focus on the job that you're gonna make, that you're gonna choose, the career that you're gonna choose, and we're gonna work on the money machine that you're gonna build to be financially free within the next 20 years. Trust me, after you hit 15, life goes like this. You don't stop having birthdays. Like, what the heck? Like, I just wanted to turn 15, and now it's like I'm 20, now I'm 23. It's not gonna stop, it's gonna go faster. I'm having Alan's senior portraits pictures next week. What the heck? Like, we start the school year, he's already gonna have the pictures for graduation. What? That's just because life goes like this, así, rapidito, whether we like it or not. So the next 20 years, guys, it's gonna flew by. And whether you're gonna just be working just to work, and if you wait until you're 30 or 35 to build your money machine, you're not going to have as much. And trust me, by then you may have already kids, you are already married, you already have all the responsibilities. So right now it's the best time to start, because when you have those children, when you get married, you're already going to have a habit. You're already going to have a habit, and it's going to be already automatic. The challenge is do it now, now that you have the time and not wait. And before we wrap it up, let me share this really quick. Oh my God, I don't see you guys anymore. I think, where are you guys? I lost you. Jesus Christ. There you go. Okay, so let me share my screen. What screen do I want to share? I want to share, not this. I want to share. There you go. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Okay. So here are a few ways to earn $1 million. Salary of 50K for 20 years, salary of 100K for 10 years, salary of 250 for 4 years. But this is what I'm gonna focus, guys, right here. Right here. 5,000 people buy a $200 product. If Avelino puts together a guide or a book or a course on the steps to buy your first home, and that course costs $200, Carlitos, how many people do you think could be interested in a course or something that tells you step by step how to buy a home? You think people will be interested?
Yes, a lot of people would be interested.
Okay, so let's say Avelino makes that product that costs $200 and he has 20 years to sell it to 5,000 people. You think he can make it?
Yeah, for sure. You can.
Okay, 20 years to just sell to 5,000 people. If we do the math, how much is it? So 5,000 divided by 20, that's just 250 per year divided by 12. That means he only has to worry about selling to 250 per year. That's completely doable. Now, let's say, Carlitos, you create a soccer program for parents to have bonding time with their children, and you're targeting parents that work at Salesforce or parents that work in Kaiser, and they don't have a lot of time to spend with their children, but yet they want to help them to have a skill because they have a job at Salesforce or at Kaiser. That means they value education, right? So if you create a program and you give them some private lessons and you only charge $1,000, and we're talking about people that make over 250,000. You think that you can find 1,000 people to buy you $1,000 program in 20 years?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Are you guys able to see how easy the math is? Can you see it, Carlitos?
Yeah.
It only takes the math to figure it out what you need to do to get it done. Now, let's say you created a program, a membership. How many memberships are there right now? A ton, a bunch. You charge $278 per month, and you only have to sell to 300 people for 12 months. That gives you $1 million. But before choosing which path we're gonna follow to earn the $1 million, first we need to know what problem we solve. If we don't know what problem we solve, we're not gonna be able to sell anything. Lily, in the pet business, she's not gonna be selling that she's cheap or her prices are cheaper or she has this promotion. She needs to understand the pain of her client, and she sells the problem. Hey, you can come to me. I can come to you for $50 more. It's time. But if people don't understand that, because they don't know what their pain is, we're making sure they understand the problem that we're solving them, they're very happy to pay the price. But we don't understand this. We're thinking that we're working to make money and we just gotta, no, that just doesn't. That's not how we earn $1 million. So Carlitos, while you're working, and I'm gonna go with you, while you're working, earning money to survive, you're gonna start building a machine of money that it's not gonna take you 1 month. It's not gonna make you rich overnight. It's gonna give you security that you are going to make it and be financially free. It's not gonna take overnight. It's not something that is gonna happen tomorrow. You're gonna build a system, a money machine that is gonna be bringing you the money that you need to be financially successful. You're gonna focus on your time, where you're spending your time working for a living and creating a money machine, okay? And then I wanna show you this. So some of you saw this already. I wanna repeat it again because this is very important. So the importance of compounding. And compounding, it's all about investing with time. So let's say Joe and Bob. Joe starts at age 19. He saves $300 a month, and he saves that until he's age 27. He's earning 10%, and we're going to talk about investments in the next classes, but he earns 10% on his $300, and he stops at age 27. By age 65, he's going to have 1.8 million. He only invested 28,000. He only saved 28,000. Bob started until he was age 27. He's saving the same $300 a month. He's earning the same thing as Joe. He stops at age 65. Look at this. Bob starts at age 27 and he stops until age 65. Joe only did it from age 19 to age 27. Bob invested $140,000. He has 1.5 million by age 65. Do you guys see the difference and why it's so important? Time. The early that you start, the faster you're going to be able to accumulate wealth. It's about time. It is about money, but it's mostly about time. And most of us have parents, and it's not their fault. Most of us are surrounded by adults who don't believe, especially on our Latino community, who do not believe in investing, that want to have the money under the mattress or just in a savings account or being safe. I just want to be safe. It's okay for them, not for you. Not for you. You got to make educated decisions and learn about investing, and learning about the stock market, learning about businesses, learning about other things if you want your money to do more for you. And why do you want to do that? Because you don't want to depend on anybody. You want to be able to be 60, 65 and pay your own medication, or having to be able to do whatever you want on your own. But you got to start sooner than later. And one of the biggest beliefs that we're going to have to take away is that risk. Like, it's too risky. Don't do that. You're going to lose it. It's too risky. Don't do that. No, not for your generation. And to close it up, and I'm going to ask you guys for feedback. So please pay attention on what I'm going to share right now, because I really want you guys to listen to my amazing coach. Everything that I'm saying, guys, I didn't make it up on my own, okay? I have learned everything. And my philosophy of life is that I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just gotta go to the person who has done what I want to do and learn from that person. That's my philosophy. I don't want to spend my life trying to figure it out on my own. I want to learn from the best and apply what they have done, so I can make my life and the life of my children easier. Here we go.
There's a different mindset versus the 80s to the 2000s, 2010. So we're right now halfway through winter. We're in another winter. It starts financially. Now it's gone to health, but we're far from it. It's going to be war that's going to shape the direction of humanity. And so the people that right now are alive today are going to have to grow in that environment. I really think we're at a season where there's going to be a whole new level of growth. And what I just want to do is be one of the many sources that can give people perspective. Because here's the problem. A year ago, people thought we were coming out of, got vaccines now, and we're coming out of COVID, and it's going to be all over now. People are excited. But now, after going through 2 years of this, there's a lot of people now that no longer have a compelling future. Like, people talking about New Year's resolutions. Most people don't even have one because it's like they never followed through anyway, right? But at least they had something to look forward to. They're starting to get into learned helplessness. Something is so bad over and over again, you start thinking the problem's permanent. No problem is permanent. Or you start thinking the problem's pervasive because I haven't handled my finances, my whole world's over. Or because my relationship's bad, my whole world's over. Your life is bigger than that. Or all this is happening because there's something wrong with me. When you get to that point, you stop trying. And so my goal right now is to shake that up for people. People need a new perspective, and you can't do it by just sitting and thinking. You got to move your body. You got to change your energy and your focus, because low level of energy, I don't give a damn how smart you are, you're not going to use all your ability. But if I get you into a higher state of being, mentally, emotionally, physically, then all of a sudden you start remembering who you are, and you start coming up with answers that you never even thought were possible. But you're really talking about the most important concept in lasting change.
It's about understanding seasons, understanding generations, really understanding that what worked 10 years ago may not work today. And just figure out your path. And that's my goal with these classes, to help you figure it out, how to get to that million and more, how to figure it out, what to do with your career, with your profession, with your business. I have 4 coaches. When I started coaching and I started having therapy, because I do have therapy as well, I realized that it's not that there was something wrong with me. It was just because I wanted to grow. I was hungry to grow. I was hungry to have a different lifestyle, because I love to travel, and I love having options for my children. And that required me to have a different level of thinking. And I needed to talk to people that have done stuff that I haven't done before. And that having a therapy session or having a counselor, having a coach allows me to see a different perspective, me to see my blind spots, anxiety, depression, stress, how you're going to deal with that when you have to make decisions. Take a shortcut. Take a shortcut. Talk to somebody. See a different perspective. You don't have to do it by yourself. Just ask for help. Be okay being uncomfortable. I'm not going to emphasize this again. It's going to feel so uncomfortable to be here, to waking up, or to go to class, or to turn on a camera. It's so uncomfortable, but you're going to have to pay a price. You're either going to have to pay the price of discipline or the price of regret. You choose. If you feel uncomfortable right now and you're willing to pay the price of discipline, you're going to have a fulfilled life. And that takes courage. You can show up with no camera on. It's completely fine. But just show up and have that discipline. And as you go along, it's going to get easier and easier. I took my 6-year-old yesterday. He has a kids gym class. And there's some obstacles that he's afraid. Like, he was afraid of jumping. And I was just watching him, and I said, no, Aldo, you can do it. Go. And I'm there, right? And he's like, no. And he went to the side. He didn't want to jump. And I stand up and I started cheering on him. And he just got, his little face got so excited, and he started smiling. And I said, okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. And he jumped. And I could see his face, and like, oh, it wasn't that difficult. Like, when he was going to jump, I could see he was scared. But when he jumped, like, oh, it wasn't that difficult. And then after that, I took him to a kids party in Pump It Up. And in Pump It Up, they have these big jumper where they have 3 balls. and all the kids were going and jumping, and I saw Aldo coming back and not jumping. I'm like, what the hell? So I like, Aldo, go jump. Like, no, 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 no. I could see his eyes that he was scared. I'm like, no, you gotta go. He's like, no. I'm like, okay, we're leaving. So, okay, fine. He has his little attitude. He's like, okay, fine. So he went, and I could see his face that he was scared. And I started cheering, and I said, okay, let's go, 3, 2, go. And he jumped, and he fell, and he started laughing. He's like, okay, okay, again. And he went back and jumped. So why am I sharing this with you guys? Because not all the adults that you're surrounded by are gonna cheer on you, and it's okay. It's okay. You gotta cheer on yourself and just count 3, 2, 1, and just jump. I'm there for my kids, right? Because I'm getting all this information and I'm getting trained. And I could see his eyes, I could see his face, and I'm gonna be there to push him. But I don't have that person to cheer on me. That's why I have to pay coaches, and I have to pay a lot of money for them to cheer on me. And it's okay. All you gotta do is just count 3, 2, 1, and just go for it. I'm sharing this because I could see how, since we're kids, like that fear is never gonna go away, but it's just gonna get easier to deal with when you're surrounded with people who have the same goals or have the same hunger to do more in life. Alondra, what are you taking from today? Thank you for being here, by the way.
I feel like it's like from watching the video, it put everything like into a different perspective to me, because it's like, for example, when he was talking about growth, I didn't really ever think about it to equal happiness. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I'm like, well, I know all of this, but I never really thought of it like that, I guess. So
That's
yeah.
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Carlitos, what are you taking from today?
Well, the last video that we watched, he at the end he said that you could have all this knowledge and all this determination, but if you don't put the effort in, like 100%, it will never become something. And I could kind of see myself, I could put myself in those footsteps, because I do feel like I could do something, but I need to put more effort into it for sure.
I love it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for waking up.
Thank you.
You make my heart so full. Thank you for being here and for having your camera on and for participating. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Alan, can you turn on your camera, please? What are you taking from today?
In the last video when Tony said success without fulfillment is nothing. So like that.
Success without fulfillment is nothing. I started talking about love, remember? And we create love from the perception that we have of what's happening to us. Thank you, Alan, for being here, and thank you for sharing. Mando, what are you taking from today? What are your takeaways from today?
Oh, hello. Hi, good morning. Oh, I was taking a move in the beginning was something that the new generation and how our age would be give us some more understanding how we could be able to start from scratch, maybe when you let where your plans are, you having plans in mind and fulfill them without any fear. And then of course love is very important to show how you could treat others.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, hermano, for being here, and thank you for sharing. Belly, Avelino, le digo Avelino. He said that whenever I'm upset, I call him Avelino, but it's like Avelino, Belly, mi tesoro, amor. No, see? What are you taking from today, mi vida?
I think for me, it's, I know a lot of this stuff. I just don't apply it. So there's a difference between, knowing it and then actually doing it. So I knew all this stuff. It's like a quick refresh of how you need to start applying it. So
Repetition, right?
yes, mom.
What's the difference between having like the times that you had your coach, right now you're working with a coach, versus not having a coach? What impact does it make on you, on your life, career, school, now that you're working with a coach versus not having someone to talk to?
Good question. Let me see. I think he's helped me. He calls me out.
Mm.
That's the biggest thing that I really appreciate is that he calls me out. And that's what I've lacked, some calling out. So
I'm gonna send him a thank you note. I'm just kidding. Just
not like you're
kidding.
paying him, but you know, it is what it is.
It's not like I'm paying him. Thank you, Memor. Thank you for sharing. So if you guys want to receive the presentation and if you guys want to continue on the next classes, I want you to send me a text message, and I'm going to give you my number now, and I'm going to put it on the chat. The number is 510-812-9463. 510-812-9463. I want you to text me and tell me that you want to continue with these classes, and I'll send you the schedule and I'll send you the presentations and everything. I have your emails, but why am I asking for a text? I'm asking for commitment. Maybe somebody dragged you here today, somebody invited you here today, but I need your commitment. So I need a text message from you if you want to continue and if you want to jump on this boat and learn more about everything that I have to share for you guys. Anybody else that want to share anything? I'm not going to call out on anybody, but anybody that wants to share? Hi, Aldo. My 6-year-old. Diles hola. Diles hello. I'm in the class too. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with me. Take care, and thanks, everybody. See you next time. Bye.